The case came to be known as the Woman in White. While I never thought I would be part of paranormal investigations, being a staunch skeptic for the vast majority of my life, I've somehow become involved in my grandmother Marilyn's retirement project. She and her friends, Margaret and Joan, call themselves the Silver Specter Society, and their goal is to talk to ghosts. I've taken on some of the tech for them, like checking emails and loading footage to their website. Most of the time, they get emails from local people who claim that they heard a knock in the night, or they smelled something funky and they wonder if it means anything. But the email I got from the Hawthorne House Bed and Breakfast, 2 towns over, was something bigger and more exciting. The email had come in at 6:12 a.m., which was already raising my eyebrows, because hardly anyone with a mere casual question is going to email practically before dawn. The subject read, "Please help. We don't know who else to ask." A short while after I saw it, around 8:30 or 9, I was in Grandma's kitchen. She was at the table in her slippers, reading over the message and then summarizing it to me. A historic hotel, a house from the 1800s, and renovations seem to have disturbed a lingering presence. She looked up at me, eyes shining. "Laura, pack a bag and call the girls." Margaret and Joan arrived later that morning, both wearing their Silver Spectre jackets, both carrying Tupperware, one with lemon squares, one with deviled eggs. Paranormal preparedness apparently requires snacks. I've also taken on a lot of the driving involved in the group, especially if there's any chance of driving at night, due to my younger eyes. So that's how I ended up spending my weekend 2 towns over, guiding Grandma's SUV into the gravel drive of the Hawthorne House B&B. It was a 3-story mansion with white trim and a wraparound porch that sagged like it was too tired to be charming. Lisa, the owner, met us at the door. She was in her 50s, short haircut, tired eyes. The look of someone who believed in ghosts now, whether she wanted to or not. I could relate. "I'm so glad you're here. I didn't know what else to do," Lisa told us, sounding exhausted. "That's okay, dear. We're here to help. Your email said you have experienced activity before the renovations. Can you tell us about it?" Lisa motioned my grandma in, and we all followed her through to a large dining room. We sat at the table, and after a few minutes, a young man brought in a tray of tea. "There's always been activity here," Lisa started. "Footsteps when no one was there, customers complaining about someone knocking on their door, but when they open it, there's no one there, and even disembodied crying. We got used to it. I did some research on the house and found out a young couple lived here, Jonathan and Victoria Hawthorne, both in their early 20s, not long married. Jonathan came from wealth and they had inherited the house at that young age. But he left to fight in the Civil War, and Victoria got sick and passed away while he was gone." "Do you believe it's Victoria who is still here?" Joan asked. Lisa nodded. "Yeah, I do. When we started renovating, I found something." She got up, moved over to the sideboard, and picked up something wrapped in a cloth. "It was in the basement. We were putting in some steel support beams to correct some sagging in the floor," she explained. "And I just spotted it, tucked into a sort of cubby in the wall where a brick was missing. I guess no one ever noticed it before." She handed Grandma a small, leather-bound book, cracked with age. The pages were thin, yellowed, the perfect cursive handwriting slanted and careful. "It's a diary," Lisa explained to the rest of us, "dated 1863. Grandma ran her fingers gently over the cover. She handed the diary to Margaret. "We'll give it a read today and conduct our own background research." Lisa looked very grateful. She was providing us with 2 adjoining rooms on the house, she insisted. The B&B was closed anyway for the renovations. I had mixed feelings about staying the night. It was a beautiful, historical home, and the footsteps and knocking sounds could just be sounds of this old mansion settling at night. But the crying echoing through the halls, that creeped me out. Lisa shared with us that guests had reported seeing a woman in white at the end of the second-floor hallway. That had happened occasionally, rarely, over the years, but since the renovations began, Lisa had seen the apparition herself 3 times, and that was a significant escalation. "She's angry," Joan said softly. "Or frightened." "Or both," Margaret added. That evening we gathered in one of the sitting rooms, cameras rolling. I had started documenting our investigations a few months earlier, mostly for my own sanity, partly because no one ever believed stories like this without proof. Grandma opened the diary and began to read. "February 12th, 1863. The cough is worse today. I pray Jonathan returns before the winter ends." The room went very still. We were hearing the written words of a woman long gone, hearing about her life and the anxiety and grief that she carried. She wrote about waiting, watching the road from her bedroom window, about letters that had stopped coming, and about her illness creeping in slowly, how she desperately wanted to hang on until Jonathan returned. "The doctor says it is consumption. I say it is loneliness. If Jonathan comes home and I am gone, I hope he will know I tried to wait." When Grandma closed the diary, the silence felt heavy, almost physical. Joan wiped her eyes with the corner of her sleeve. "She was so young," she whispered. Margaret cleared her throat and said, "Well, we'll start tonight." The first investigation began just after midnight. The house was quiet, but to me, it felt like it was just holding its breath. It was eerie. We set up equipment in the second floor hallway where the apparition had been seen. Margaret had taken charge of the equipment, handing the EMF detector to Grandma, the spirit box to Joan, and spacing out some motion activated LED cat balls along the corridor. The voice recorder sat on a small table, and my camera was trained down the corridor, aimed at the spot where guests and Lisa had seen the woman in white. Victoria! Joan called out gently, holding the spirit box out, ready to capture any communications. Talk to us. We're here to listen. The EMF detector flickered, green to yellow. Grandma's posture straightened. That's a response. A cat ball near the far end of the hall lit up, rainbow colors blinking softly. Hello, Grandma said warmly. We mean you no harm. We're here to help. The spirit box crackled, and a soft sound drifted through the hall, but not from the spirit box. This sound seemed to emanate from the house itself somehow. A quiet sob. My stomach tightened. Do you hear that? I asked. I had goosebumps up both arms and tried to ignore how cold I felt. Footsteps could be heard not long after, slow and clear, and of course, no one was there. Very late that night, trying to sleep in my shared room with Grandma, a knock sounded on our door at 3:17 a.m. I saw the time on my phone as I got out of bed and, bravely, if you ask me, opened the door to an empty hallway. When I closed the door and got back in bed, I felt like I was being watched. I searched the dark room, squinting my eyes, looking for any hint of a ghost in the dark, but there was nothing there. I pulled the covers up and closed my eyes, and that's when I heard the distinct sound of a woman crying. I sat up quickly and turned on the light. What is it, Laura? Grandma asked. Listen, I said. Grandma propped herself on an elbow, and we both sat in silence, listening to the faint sounds of a woman crying. We should go to her, Grandma commanded. And we did. We followed the soft sounds of sobbing down the hall until we reached a door, room 12. She's in there, Grandma told me. It could be another customer, I suggested. The place is empty during the renovations, Grandma reminded me. Victoria, sweetheart, can you hear me? She called out. The crying stopped. Grandma and I both pressed an ear to the door, but everything had gone silent. We want to help you, Grandma went on. Please give us a sign if you want to talk to us. A small knock on the door we had our ears pressed to made me jump. Knock again, if it's you, Victoria, Grandma asked. There was a second knock, quieter this time, but still audible. I hear you, Victoria, Grandma answered. I promise we will keep listening to you. When there were no more knocks, Grandma and I retired back to our room. Grandma fell asleep right away, but I was unnerved and struggled to sleep. The second night, we focused our investigations on the basement where the diary had been found. While we were down there, the temperature dropped so sharply that our breath began to be visible in the air. She doesn't like the renovations, Margaret murmured, watching the EMF spike. This was her home. The voice recorder was running when we heard the whisper. Ours. Grandma nodded. Yes, sweetheart, we know. Are you wanting the renovations to stop? A cat ball lit up. That's a yes, Joan said. Are you still waiting for your husband? Grandma asked. The spirit box crackled, and through the static, a word came through. Jonathan. We'll find him, Margaret told her. You have help now. That week, we returned home, and the older ladies researched town records, census records, and old newspapers. The truth came together painfully. Jonathan Hawthorne never came home. He had died in Virginia, killed in action. His final resting place was unknown. Victoria had never gotten the news. She stayed as long as she could, Grandma said quietly, waiting. We have to tell her, Joan said. Margaret nodded. I agree. We should hold a seance. Fabulous idea, Grandma agreed. Returning to the B&B again that next weekend, we waited for nightfall and asked Lisa to set the dining table. 5 chairs with 5 cups of tea, one for Victoria, and all the information the ladies had gathered over the last few days. Lisa stood by the door, not wanting to take part in the seance. Victoria, Grandma called out, steady but kind. Would you join us? The room grew colder. The cat ball on the empty chair lit up. My camera trembled in my hands. We know what happened to Jonathan, Grandma continued. He never stopped loving you, Victoria, but he never made it home. He died in battle in Virginia. I'm terribly sorry. The EMF detector surged to red and stayed there for seconds, something I had never seen before. Joan leaned forward toward the empty chair. He's waiting for you, dear, on the other side. The room was still and cold. I felt uneasy, but the Silver Specter Society remained calm and dedicated. The spirit box crackled with words that were hard to make out. My home won't leave. Jonathan isn't here, Victoria, but he can be with you in spirit, Margaret told her. You can find him. Come home, the spirit box said. Promised. Grandma took a deep breath. Do you need your home returned to you in order for Jonathan to rejoin you? She asked. Home. Ours, the spirit box said. Lisa walked from the doorway to the table with her hands clasped. We can make it your home again. Grandma turned. You can? Lisa nodded. We'll keep her room. Room 12. No renovations, no guests, just hers. Room 12 can be left untouched. Margaret smiled. A compromise. Victoria, Grandma said, you don't have to wait here anymore, but you can stay if you choose. The cat ball lit up again, and I swear out of the corner of my eye, I saw a wisp of a white dress. I think Victoria likes that idea, Grandma smiled. The next morning, Grandma, Joan, Margaret, Lisa, and I all stood outside in the yard. Grandma had picked up a rose bush from a local gardening shop. We all stood together while Grandma said a short prayer for Victoria and Jonathan, and then Lisa planted the rose bush, visible from the window of room 12. We left that same day and didn't hear anything for a couple of weeks. But one evening when the society got together, I brought an email we had received to read to the ladies. The subject line read, Thank you. Dear Silver Specter Society, I'm pleased to tell you that the hotel has become peaceful. The crying has stopped and the renovations have gone on as planned. I've had no more sightings, have heard no knocking or footsteps. I did smell Victoria's perfume once, but it no longer felt sad. Thank you so much for your help, Lisa. And she had attached a photo. She had placed a plaque in front of the rosebush reading, In loving memory of Victoria and Jonathan Hawthorne. Joan sighed contentedly. Another story told. Grandma smiled. Another voice heard. The reputation of the Silver Specter Society was growing with each case, and I very much hoped and tended to believe that Victoria, the woman in white, was no longer waiting alone.
If you enjoyed this reading, please hit like and subscribe so you don't miss future stories. We'd love to hear from you in the comments. This has been Tales by Rachel, where we breathe life into every story.